Welcome to another episode of Make Mental Health Matter. If you are watching for the very first time and you happen to be watching on YouTube, make sure you click down the subscribe button so that you don't miss another episode. And on Mondays, the theme is Mental Health Mondays, where I bring guests on who are either professionals in the mental health space, advocates of mental health, or they have a story to share around mental health, suicide prevention, all the wellness things that we don't have enough conversations. If you also are watching on any of the streaming any of the streaming platforms, wow, my brain's going too fast for my mouth today. Make sure you add us into your wish list, your watch list, whatever it happens to be called. Every single guest that I bring on just truly has a story to share and are so passionate about the thing that we call life. And really, truly, I would not want you to miss another episode. So without further ado, I am going to bring up my special guest for today. Larry, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, you're welcome. Well, thank you for having me on. Glad to
Yeah,
be here.
absolutely.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, I would love for you to share a little bit about yourself with the audience.
Okay, well, my name's Larry Azevedo. I come from Dos Palace, California. It's basically the heart of the central San Joaquin Valley, basically in the middle of California. Farm country. Grew up on a little tiny farm. Come from a single parent home. My mama raised me. My dad split when I was 3 years old. That's the way it is sometimes. It's me and my two brothers. She made her living going to local auction yards, bought farm animals, brought them home for her boys to raise. Cattle, sheep, pigs, goats, you name it. She bought it, brought it home. We raised it. We had to take care of them 7 days a week. And not only that, we had to feed them, take care of them before school and after school. She taught us the value of hard work and responsibility. And then them animals counted on us for be there to feed them, take care of them. Not only that, she even took it a step further, keep her boys out of trouble. She made us train them and show them. So we trained a lot of them and showed them throughout California. Sacramento State Fair, clear on up to Cow Palace, the big show itself. You better believe it. Won many trophies and ribbons along the way. Yep. And through that, because of coming from a single parent home, there was a lot of mental health strain on my mom, extremely health, and then put on us as well. There's no question about it. It was extremely difficult. She was too proud for welfare, and she was too proud to get anybody help from it. So she was dedicated to make it on her own and making her boys help go along with it. And we struggled, believe me. And one thing came up with is, all right, take 5. That's what she always did put us, if we started to get frustrated, because of the animals, they're feeding and they're always getting out, they're hollering, and they want to be fed, and they're hard to train. They kick you, they run you over, they stomp on you. So she was all about take 5. And what that does, basically take a break, wait a minute, and she'd bring us over there. All right, well, next time we need to try this method, take a breather, reset, and then go at it again. And she made sure and did that on a daily basis. It wasn't very many. Very, very few. It wasn't very, it was just real quick, but it was every day. It was the consistency that counted. Like you say, you can't really fix anything in 5 minutes. Okay. You just can't. Our lives are too sped up. But if you take that 5 minutes and you apply it every day, next thing you know, within a week's time, you got well over a half an hour here. See that you can actually put something really great together, especially when it comes to your mental health. And it's very important that we focus on this, because it's truly important, because our lives are just hectic. People go to school, people go to work. We're just busy. And there's nothing, there's like a routine. When we get up, take a shower, we brush our teeth, we get ready, we fix our coffee, we're off. Okay. We have to naturally make a routine that everybody's comfortable with. Okay. And we have to incorporate that into our lives. Okay. So she did that, and that helped us. And then at the end of every day, we did the 5-minute thing. whether it was take a break then, and but at the end of the day, all right, what did we learn? Well, we learned, do this and that, but we reflected on the day, figured out, okay, we're going to do this different tomorrow, and then the next day, and then just repeat that, and then after a while, you become like you kind of help fix yourself along with the people around you, and that really paid off for us. So I wanted to share that, and then moving forward, I like to share that going forward. If we could just take 5, you put that in a electronic app. It's like a daily diary. Like a lot of girls, they have a diary. So if we use this as a mental health tool, and even parents can do it too. It doesn't just have to be about children, but more importantly, if going forward, if we set the system up for everybody as we're getting older, it's like when we naturally go get our vaccines or our shots. Everybody knows we've got to get our shots before school. And, it's hard because mental health people are scared. Oh, shrinks, they cost money. So there's a fear factor there as well. It's like, oh my God, we're barely making it now. Our mortgage or hell, corrupt, this politics, because of the cost of food. So people get scared. Oh my God, it's going to cost me so much and then it just adds more stress. So they kind of try to take care of themselves. And then it goes worse because there's not really, like the insurance people, they bundle your home, bundle your car. They're not bundling it. Say, okay, just for instance, as an example, I don't know that perfect, but okay, well, when you're getting your vaccine shots, maybe, if go down there, well, maybe they can offer a deal on, okay, well, let's do a mental health checkup on the family. And they'll get 25% or 50% off and have like a routine where it's a natural thing where we go in there and even make it mandatory. Like the adolescents, the younger children, when they first getting their shots or first starting out, maybe it start at 5 years old. It's hard earlier because they can't talk, and they're learning how to talk and they're just getting figured thing out. But if we put some type of solutions in and blend it in, and then also, I don't see a lot of ads out there. Okay, get your mental health checkup this week for $29.95, like an oil change, and this person's $19.95, and you'll get this coupon. You don't see that out there. You don't see them offering these plans. They got to take the shock and awe out of it. You got to put something, a common sense solution, and then we use the technology at home, the 5-minute fix, and it's a little bit everywhere. It needs to be done, and I believe that works. It's worked for us in the past, and I believe with our world sped up like it is, the technology we have, and the advertisement, and the policies, I believe something in that, and then some questions. You want to ask your children, basically, they're most important because if you catch it early on, it's like a cancer, in anybody's life. The more it goes untreated, the worse it gets. It's mental health. So, like at the end of the day, well, did your mom do anything to make you mad? Did your dad do anything to make you? Did your brother do anything, or somebody at school make you mad? And what are we going to do tomorrow? We're going to stay away from that person, or we're going to, what are we going to do to be happy tomorrow? What are we going to do to not be sad? It's just a simple questionnaire for the people to answer. Even the parents could do it. At the end of the day, just some simple questions. Have the mental health experts go through it. Get these 20 or so questions out. Something that you can do in less than 5 minutes. Put these important questions down there, and everybody can be different. Whatever ones that But I believe it's the happy and the sad part, your feelings and any anger issues. Address those. Put them in some questions. Put it in an app, and let's share that, and let's make a normal routine out of it. I believe is the way forward to help for far as costs, and because there's a lot of people out there going in a lot of directions, a lot of mental health experts, but like I said, everybody's so busy that a lot of it falls on deaf ears because the message is not getting out there. So we need to implement some type of simple messaging platform. Doesn't cost a lot of money, and also getting the mental health experts in there to get them to market and advertise a little better, and maybe do some bundling and offers for the families because they're shared. The shrink costs money. So anyway, those are my thoughts where I come from, and I'm taking too much. Am I talking too much?
No, you're
Anyway,
good. No, you're good.
but
I like that.
I'm really emotionally, fired up about it, and because it's personally affected me. Coming up like I did, and we had to make do with what we had. And there's a lot of days, I went crazy, mad. Why we were out here, why this happened to us. And it is what it is, but it sure made us a better people, believe it or not, going through such a struggle like that, and overcoming lots of those terrible issues that people have to experience.
Yeah,
So
I like the 5 minute because so I've had lots of guests on the show that we've talked about breathing and how those can be really simple. And I think, like you said, is oftentimes when we think about our mental health, like it becomes this big thing that we're like, oh my gosh, I have to go see a counselor. I have to go talk to somebody. It's going to take an hour, blah, blah, blah. Right. And then the finances that come with it. And
right.
it can be as simple as 5 minutes. Your mom was very wise saying, take 5 minutes, just step away, even if it's just for 5 minutes. And that's a routine that you've continued to do as you've gotten older. And really, truly, it can be simple. It can be 5 minutes. Maybe it's breathing, maybe it's writing, maybe it's just not being like you were talking about, like being in the pasture with the animals. Maybe it's just taking those 5 minutes, and how many of those 5 minutes can add up during the day and really like start to reset our brain during that 5 minutes. So I love that, the 5 minute. And
Yep.
I know you talked about, thank you for sharing when you were younger and how you were raised and you grew up. And I know I was kind of reading some of your bio also on your website, and you talked a lot about how growing up on the farm and taking care of the animals, and really how that translate into the hard work that you do, and how what it meant for you, like coming from a single parent home, and now like what you're doing today too. So
Right.
I think it all like kind of really intertwines into the relationship with mental health for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just so important because lots of it goes unaddressed. Like I said, it's just our world is so sped up, and help is out there, and it's just there's just a big disconnect. I just have to tell you, there's just a big disconnect, and that's the main problem of it. And I don't have all the perfect answers, but I'm offering to share my experiences and share a new way forward. I know technology is going to play a hand in it, you know, because a lot of people are scared about the bills. And another fear factor. Well, I don't want people to think I'm crazy, so that there is another hurdle. You know what I mean? So you got the fear factor of it costing so much, and then you got about people thinking about me. So we got a little bit of a hurdle about it's okay to be a little bit, if you're sad, or if you're feeling you want to hurt yourself, or you don't feel like you belong in society. I felt all those feelings, trust me. So it's okay to be like that. So, but we need to, let's work on that, especially with the youth, to get them to come forward and to open up about that. And, I think even in the classroom, like I said, we need a routine to where, maybe they, take 5 or 10 minutes out of every day to, do this, something in class, some type of curriculum, anything, something where they take so many minutes out of the day. It doesn't have to be the whole class, the whole 30 minutes in the classroom. Just somewhere they need to get something going on to where, okay, the main thing is I want to take for the youth, basically, because if you start a youth, then eventually you'll get everybody. If you get the right youth package going on, then you'll eventually get everybody as it rolls forward. That we're here for you, we care about you, and that we put this system into place, and we're going to constantly work on it and change it to make things better for everybody. Because it's hard, because you got small schools, they got limited funding. The teachers are barely even getting enough money. Let's be real here. Let's really talk real, and okay. Teachers are barely wanting to work because they're barely making a wage to barely make a living. Okay. And mental health experts, look, they spend a lot of money going to college. They got college bills. Okay. They got that student loan to pay for. So a lot of them are looking for a better job. So a lot of them ain't coming to the smaller communities. Plus, we don't have the funding to hire them and put them on. We can barely afford our teachers. Let's be honest. We don't have enough money to put mental health counselors in every school across our nation. That's just a fact of life. That's just the way it is. So that being said, we need to look at, go a curriculum to where we'll take the mental health experts' advice. They design some type of curriculum, okay, and then put that into place, and then the teachers can follow these guidelines and have these questions, and then that way teachers can be like assistants, because they know probably a little bit about it, but some of them have their own problems because they have issues. They got bills, they got families, they have their own problems. So if we create this curriculum that's designed around our daily lives within our students there, within the schools, you'll reach more of them. Like the 5-minute deal. So there is solutions. Sometimes when you can't throw money everywhere in all the different places. So it's bad, because then, a lot of people get left out. So I believe it's more about a strategy, using our technology, using our schools, and going at it like that. And of course, there's never enough doctors or clinics around when you need them sometimes, as far as, when the mental health goes, seems to be more in, the emergency care work done, and then there is in the mental health care. And then there are the ways they set it out to go about it. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I believe by working together, it's just, you see a lot of political infighting in the House. They're arguing about this and they're trying to throw this and out. That hurts our mental health progress as a whole. I'm talking about all of us. We need teachers on the mental health boards. We need mental health experts on the mental health board. And then we need some parents on there, and put some reasonable questions, happy, sad, what can we do? The city council meetings, something where they get together and simplify the solution, and then they throw it out, and then everybody can use it. They'll understand it. It'll be basically, technology's already there. So, they make an app or whatever, and then they put it some type of curriculum. And that way, you don't want to overdo it, because then, and then it takes too much out of your math, your reading. So there's a fine line there, but it's an important line, because if you don't have good mental health, you can't learn to read. You can't learn to write. You can't even pay attention in school if you got some freaking idiot flicking you in the head and bothering you. There's no way. You're constantly mad or irritated. So, that's what we're up against. It's a big job. No question about it.
I definitely, agree. I agree also. I think that, so I have a 8-year-old that, in school, and, I just recently was talking to some friends, and they said that some of the schools are actually taking health out of the curriculum. And I was like, what? Like, that's kind of a major thing to be talking about. Like, it's not just like body health, it should also be mental health. And that's what you said earlier too, is being able, mental health should be as like going to the doctor, right? We go to the doctor for our physical health. We should be going to the doctor for our mental health also. It is equally important. Like, our brain is our mental health, but we don't all experience or live with a mental health disorder or challenge, but it's still important to protect the brain, right? It's part of our body. And I think it's so interesting when we talk about, especially schools in general. And I know, like, you're in California, I'm in Colorado. And I think across the nation, we're struggling with at least, so Colorado, we have a challenge with substitutes. We have a challenge with teachers, like getting enough teachers, getting enough substitutes. And when we don't have access to really specifically substitutes, then it affects the mental health of the teachers, because then they can't take any days off. And all these things just keep piling on. And if we're not taking care of the teachers, how can we expect them to take care of our children, right? Like, that's what is frustrating. So I love, and I think at least in Colorado, we are trying to do a better job. We are trying to put mental health professionals and services into schools, but yes, there's a lack of funding. Although they are kind of reshifting some of the funds to be able to provide that. But yeah, it can be simple. Like, keep health. Like, it's so much more important. I value history now that I'm older, but when I was younger, like mental health, the physical health of a person, how can we like reshift and change school in a way so that kids are learning the valuable tools that they need versus just the standard what we've done for years? I think that's the
Absolutely.
question.
Right. Well, you touched on it too, about the funding, and then about the teachers being stressed, and the payment, and then the substitutes. It sounds, the school's unstabilized now. So if you got unstabilized schools, you got unstabilized teachers, you got unstabilized students. There's nothing for sure. There's nothing every day. There's no forward progress. That's not good because of funding. And what you just said, well, they're trying to go mental health and they're trying to throw a curriculum, but look, you're already short on funding with the teachers. So I don't see that working. So I have to disagree with that a little bit, on throwing funding and trying to get them all in there, because it's just not going to work. It's just you're hurting more teachers and more students, because it's not going to be. Then you're going to be relying on more and more funding when you already have a shortage of funding. So I think the mental health experts will do better as overseers, you know, and then put the curriculum together, and then we utilize that. You see what I mean? Because then you'll be able to do it with a lot less funding, and you'll have a curriculum there. I know they might not want to hear that, because you're creating less jobs for them, but you know what? Sometimes that could be the problem. There might be too many mental health experts. There's not enough funding. I mean, I wish we could put them all in the schools. But that's not the reality. So some of these solutions, that's what I'm saying, are out there that they're trying to use, or just simply not. You're going in a vicious circle. It's not working, because then one school's being favored or the other one, but yet the students and the teachers continue to ones to fail, or as our youth gets older and older, there's that disconnect. So, like I said, it's all about teamwork. It's all about coming up with something that's going to be affordable, and something that you can't always count on the government or the funding. We, you just can't. You just can't rely. We got more at a home or family, but even though we're busy, so now we can use our technology, and then maybe use some new curriculum, something that's going to be there, whether the funding's good or bad that year. The students, teachers, they'll have this technology, or they'll have this little bit of new curriculum to always fall back on. So I think putting something there that's going to be rock solid, and something that's going to be continue to grow and learn and grab upon, be better than, well, we're going to have enough to have this extra teacher, or we're going to have enough, for this extra mental health person. So it's a tough job, but it's very important. And like you said, on the health, there's a lot of them are getting rid of that. I know obesity, it's talking about mental health, but there's a lot of obesity, but it does, once you get obesity, it does affect your mental health. So I have to bring that up, because obesity is rating, and by taking health out of the school, that's bad. I even came up with a crazy plan, like putting this, I proposed it to the school. They didn't, some liked it, some didn't. It was just an idea to city council. So I went in there, I said, look, we got about 50% of our schools obesity. So let's just take one classroom. Let's take these exercise bikes, where you sit on them, right? Mm-hmm. An exercise bike. And whether you're just pedaling slow or you want to pedal fast. And they could just take this one classroom. You don't have to build them, just buy the bikes. You stick them in there, and then they could take turns using them throughout the day. Each class, they could take turns going in there, and you could either make it mandatory or voluntarily. Anyway, and when they go in there, these kids could use those bikes. They could stay on them, and they can compete while they're in there if they want to. Watch their little screens in front of me. Well, I pedaled this fast or this far, and create like a little competition, and just start them out at early age. And I think that would sure help with obesity, and also the mental health factor, because it's giving them something to do. They're competing. They're trying to, it's a fun competition. They're not really arguing or fighting out there. They're competing. They're pedaling or they're racing. And I think it's connecting them. And I think something like that needs to be at least proposed and put on the table, because health is so important. And once your health gets out of it, or like you said, you get old obesity, what happens? People start to tease you. Okay. And then when you get teased or picked on or bullied, there's a lot of actors out there that they tell you, they share their stories that they were young and they were obese. A lot of them, and they tell you what happened. So that does affect your mental health. So, we're all connected here. And like you said, taking the health out of there, that's a step in the wrong direction. And there's just, like I said, people are arguing, let's go this way or let's go this way. We need to take time out. The coach, this nation coach needs to come in, blow the whistle. All right, people, time out, blow the whistle, come together, put some type of, experimental council together, first of all, maybe for each state or whatever, or even county, or even on the council meetings, put something together where just, parents, counselor, teachers, they can all come in, share their ideas. Okay, since our funding's limited, what are some of the things that we can do on a daily basis to help our families and parents and to help our students and teachers and go in that direction, I believe is the way forward. So
yeah. I love that idea. And we're going to take a quick sponsored break, but once we come back, we can talk a little bit more about that too. And then I had a question that popped into my head. So we'll go to this quick sponsored break, and we'll be right back.
This is Rico No Suave from the Rico No Suave Talk Show. Tune in every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time here on E360 TV. Make sure you go under positive vibrations. Yes, we are here. I'll see you guys soon. Darling.
And welcome back. If you are just joining, make sure you click down the subscribe button or put into the wish list, the watch list, whatever it might be, so that you don't miss another episode. And this episode is brought to you by one of our sponsors, Dusty DeGroff at Edward Jones, Denver, Colorado. If you want a financial advisor who puts you first, please call Dusty, and you can see, I don't know which, that way. Scan this QR code and or go to this website specifically. You can reach out to Dusty. I promise you he's amazing. So go look him up. And also, if you want to sponsor the Make Mental Health Matter show, reach out to me at support@bccevolution.org. Let's have a conversation how we can put a commercial or give you a sponsored spot for the show. So before we went to break, my guest today, Larry and I were, let me bring you back up. We were talking about mental health, really specifically in the school setting. Also, this idea of taking 5 minutes, like 5 minutes per day, as Larry's mom told him, really, like, how do we step away for 5 minutes? It doesn't have to be this whole experience that you have to go to a counselor or take an hour. You have to worry about the finances. Like, you can really narrow it down to this 5 minutes that you can take at any point in time. And how can we really start ingraining this into our youth, specifically more into schools, whether it's via curriculum, whether it's via technology, like how does that really look? So what I would love, and Larry, I know that we also talked about how your mom was a single mom and she raised you. And you, I mean, it was like hard work, really out having to take care of the animals. And I know that you even like you eventually went to school, got your degree, and now you are even like, and we'll talk about that exactly what you're specifically doing now, but it's really like this back of mental health and being raised by a single mom and how you were raised, and now you're really passionate about mental health in general. So can you tell a little bit about what you are doing now and why mental health has been such a focus for you?
Well, it's been a focus because I've experienced it. You know, at some very serious degrees. When I was little, when to run away, suicide. All these terrible things. When you experience that as a child, that's terrible. Any child shouldn't have to experience that. And then if you do, you would want somebody to be there to help you first and foremost. So to overcome that, you always, reach out. I mean, and sometimes when you're going through these things, your mom's the last person you want to reach to. You see what I'm saying? Because she made us feed the animals, or made, doing things, that are good for us. But at the time you may not think, well, these, you can't see that they're good for you, but they are good for you. So sometimes you might turn against your parents or somebody that's taking care of you. And I want to send the message that I know you're feeling like that. All the youth and people out there, even some of these people that are in these rehabilitation centers, that they feel like that the people are against them and that we're not there for you, but we are there for you. And we're trying to fix these things, and everybody experiences these problems, and that there is a way forward. And that when you feel like that, you should have an opportunity to reach out to somebody, other than your parents, via the school or somebody else or a piece of technology, because no one answer is a solution. And sometimes when you're sitting within the home or within the area, wherever you may be, in school, let's say, see, so you need these solutions in these different spots, at home, at school, or some other center, or in the community. We have to have these solutions in place, these solutions where, okay, we got your back and we care. And because I went through it and lost a lot of my friends, because, a lot of my friends died of suicide, that's just the way it is. Some early on and some even to this day. It's terrible that, that these things happen. And that's the big disconnect or sometimes you think people are normal and happily married and everything. And next thing you know, you hear that, they took their life. And it's like, well, if I'd have known that, I'd have reached out to them. I wish you would have said something, but a lot of times don't. So that's one of the main reasons I'm doing what I'm doing, because of the firsthand experiences I had. My brothers had the issues too, and my mom as well. It affected all of us. It just made it extremely hard for the conditions we grew up in. So that being said, it's important to do what I'm doing. And not only that, the 9/11 events even sparked me into more of the politics. I was always involved in community, helping people, around the family, around the farm, the neighbors and stuff. Don't get me wrong. But then when that happened, then I just started to really learn about more of the other aspects of it and why things happen, so on and so forth. So then when I got more engaged into the rest of the things and how everything's kind of connected, and it's just very important that we don't get enough of it nowadays, because everything's so sped up. And a lot of the times you get certain leaders up in there and they don't experience these things, that they're not passionate enough to actually go in the direction that we need to go in. You see, they go in the regular corporations or special interest direction, and that's bad in a leader. There's always saying it's not what the leader knows. It's not what they know. It's how much they care about what they know. See, and for any of this to take place, that we need our local leader, city council, maybe, the mayor, okay, and people that are in charge. These leaders have to step up to plate all across on both sides. And this ain't a Democrat or Republican or independent issue. This mental health, this is serious business. But until you get the leaders, actually, some of them, they were all born with silver. Most of them were born, most of them come from high education and well-funded families. Let's just be straight and honest right out of the gate, okay? I'm going to give it to you straight. So they didn't have life as rough Okay, that's just the way it is. They had that extra cushion to fall on. They could afford the mental health expert. They could afford the shrieks. They can afford the butler and the maid, and then most of the time they weren't raised anyway. They were raised, because the people are off leading and this and that. But that is why our mental health is so screwed up, and why enough is not being done about it. Because our leaders in Washington and around the world, not only Washington but on local base, they just don't care enough. Whether they're too busy or whatever, or it just did not affect them enough during their childhood to actually push this issue further. It's very important. And that's why the rest of us, like you and I and all the other mental health community, are throwing up red flags, making videos, telling people and all this. And we can't do it all on our own. So we must turn them leaders, and you got to start putting leaders in there that been through some of this mess. And that sometimes is the way forward. So that being said, there it is there.
Yeah, I think I mean, you made a really great point too, is well, I think there's so much in there. Like what I hear is there are people that care, but I also think that there's so many voices, right? Like there's too many hands in the cookie jar, as the saying says, right? Like there's so many different thoughts and perspectives, but it's also like mental health seems to be this very taboo thing that we just don't talk about, right? It's like, oh, I've been through it, but I'm not going to tell anybody because I don't want anybody to think I'm crazy, kind of like you alluded to earlier. Like we don't want to have that label put on us. But I think that the conversations, which I love, they are starting to come up because it is important. I mean, again, mental health is your brain. Everybody has a brain, but not everybody experiences a disorder or a challenge. And the thing about it is that we need to start having like these type of conversations with the leaders across the board of let's really like get in there and have these conversations and like acknowledge what you've gone through, what I've gone through, what everybody within our community goes through on a daily basis, and make it so that it's not taboo, right? Like it should be a part of our everyday thing. We go to the doctor, let's go to a therapist, or let's have the conversation with our family. And it shouldn't have to be like this topic that we always bring up. Like that, at least if I had a magic wand, I would say that I would love for these conversations to happen on a daily basis. And it could be with your local leaders, it could be in your schools, it could be wherever you are, like out in the community, and being able to say, hey, I'm not okay today. And that's okay, right? It doesn't mean that I need you to be like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? I just need you to acknowledge that I'm having those feelings. And I think that that's where it comes in. Like what you were talking about is having these conversations with our leaders, like having the conversations of it's okay to not be okay. And it's also okay to ask for help when you are experiencing a mental health challenge, or like depression or anxiety, or if you have a serious disorder that you live with. Like we should still have that very much part of the conversation. And what we were talking about earlier is how can we have those with youth and start implementing it at that level, because once we get it there, it can really grow and expand beyond just youth. It can go into the adults and into parents and teachers and all of those things. So
Correct. Absolutely. Everybody have a guideline to follow through on. It'd be routine. We need to naturally make it a routine. But like you said, bring it up daily, whether it's questions, whether it's take 5, whatever it may be. But we need that. We need that regular everyday involvement.
yeah.
And then naturally start to heal ourselves, as well as the people in our communities around us. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I am curious because I know like you and I we met on a platform, and you were telling me, because you have your own show, is that right?
Right. Yeah.
And what is your show all about?
Well, it's about politics and business, the things I come up with, and then I talk to other people and the businesses they started. It's all about, I like to support the small business community, and try to help find out what kind of problems they're having, what kind of solutions that we come up with. How do we compete smaller businesses and family-owned businesses, and how do we compete with the bigger box stores? Innovative ideas. We need more help from a legislative body, to bring in. Maybe he's thinking, to help suspend some of the taxes and incentive, just basically put more incentives for more small businesses to help them get a better start, like freeze all you know, the permitting fee, and the startup costs are just so overwhelming because of the cost of living that the small businesses are basically almost killed because the startup costs. And then to actually compete with everybody else is just ridiculous. So every time you kill small businesses, that kills competition, and that's not good to grow your economy, because it's not good, because more than half the businesses fail anyway. Once they do get up and started, they don't end up lasting. So now when you got this economy and the cost of living, you've even killed them off even more. So we talk about those things, and I leave it open, like what are they feeling, what direction they want to go in. It's just to help to have conversations, about life, about people, businesses, and our problems. And, it's just to be about being out there, engaging with the public, getting to know one another, share our stories, our ideas, and try to come up with solutions with one another. Oh, well, that's a good idea. Or, well, I can use this or that. And this the connection, that's the main and most important thing out there with my show, and trying to do something here impossible. I'm the underdog of the bunch, but if you're not in the fight, you can't win. So I'm doing everything I can. I'm hoping to land a celebrity or, a special interest group, to help with my cause. Cause this is, I'm funding this all myself. So it's really difficult on that level. And so I'm hoping for that great moment. So get some more media attention. So that's why I'm doing these different shows and interviews. And I got some more shows lined up on StreamYard with some other popular StreamYard people. So those are all booked up. But main thing is the message, my direction, and my beliefs, and how I'm trying to share the things I went through and how to make things better overall for the greater good. And there is another choice out there. The choices in Washington, there's not the only ones. We're out here too. There's over 1,000 candidates out there, believe it or not. Oh, that's a lot. Wow. But it's all about spreading the message, sharing my ideas. My policies are on my website. I wrote them personally. I don't have a special staff team. I wrote these. I spent over 20 years doing this in my life. I dedicated through doing my job, through driving truck, spread manure for the farmers. And after that, and going into rentals and flipping rentals, and we rent cheaper than anybody else, because we don't want people tearing up our homes, and care about our community. So they don't move out a lot. So we work with our community. We don't price gouge people. We're fair and honest, and do good business. And that's what grows business, is by doing good business, good, fair, honest, good business. But that's the idea. Keep moving forward, keep spreading the message. But that's basically what I do.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know, like, when you and I talked, so this show definitely is not like a political show by any means, but I did want to give you a chance to just share what you're doing. And I love the fact that you also talk to startup businesses, because I know, as myself, as the founder of my nonprofit, it's a business, right? Like, I have to have a business mindset, and it can be really, really challenging, especially, 75% of nonprofits fail within the first 3 years, and we're going into our 5th year, which I'm like, yay.
Yeah.
But it is
Absolutely.
like, it's so unique. Like, entrepreneurs, I've had a couple people on my show also that support entrepreneurs just in general, because mental health of especially startup and an entrepreneur, it is huge. And oftentimes we just feel like we're out on an island of our own, and nobody else understands what we're going through. So I think that's great that you have those conversations on your show, specifically like with startup and entrepreneurs, and then going into the politics. And I did not realize there were that many candidates. Holy moly. So
Yeah.
it's a big space. And so Larry is a candidate for the president. And like he just said, he is funding it all himself. He really understands the background of mental health, being born and raised by a single mom, and also the struggles that he really had to go through. It probably felt like at those moments like it was a lot of struggle, but it sounds like your mom really instilled a lot of really great things upon you as you grew up, and understanding that to be work hard, and then translating it into real estate, and just this true honest basis of being a entrepreneur, and having these companies and being able to provide that for the community. I just think that is really, really cool and really, really unique.
Thank you.
So
Hard work and dedication.
Yeah, definitely. And I would love for you to just share, so any final thoughts, and then also share where people can follow you.
No, just keep spreading the message. We need to work more together. That's, on a local basis, and all the way up to the Washington, to leadership, to legislation. We all just need to work, especially in the mental health, because, like I said, if whether and a lot, you said earlier, like a lot of people, you said majority of people, or some, probably more people that don't have it, but I think they experience it more than we know, or more that they're willing to share. So I think it's bigger than people care to admit. You see what I mean? Because some people, especially if you're a guy and you're macho, you don't care to share or admit those feelings. And by keeping that in, I think that's bad for mental health to grow and progress, because then we're sending the message of, well, there's only a small percentage of mental health people, then they're only going to get a small percentage of funding. So when we talk about that, I think it's more than people care to share, and that we need to realize that and implement more funding in a smarter, better direction. But anyway, it's just keep working at it and keep pounding away, and hopefully we'll get the right legislation and the right leaders, and from a local all the way up there, keep going at it, because it matters. Because a good head on your shoulders, without a good head, you can't read or write, you can't function, you can't go through your daily activities, you won't be able to function. So it's more important than people realize. But anyway, it's not what's made in America, it's what's missing in America. And right now we're missing an administration with a legislative agenda that's focused on our values and principles, fixing our problems and moving us forward as a nation and also as a world. So you can check me out at www.azevedoforpresident.com, and you can go to the speeches section, scroll past the videos. I got over 100 videos on all the different issues. Scroll past the videos and you'll see my policies. There's over 20 of them. I wrote them all personally, and you can see my direction and views on my views of the direction I want to take the nation in. So there it is there. You like it, click on it. Then there's a donation button. Give me some celebrities. I've been hitting up the news channels. I hit up CNN, CNBC, all those big news channels. They haven't got back to me yet, but I'm knocking on their door every day. Hopefully I'll be on CNN or CSNBC or Fox or somebody, but I'm pounding on their doors. I'm doing what I can, and I won't stop. So there it is.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today. I really appreciate just hearing like how you grew up and all the things that you are really trying to make a difference in. So thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. All right, y'all. That was another amazing episode of Make Mental Health Matter. Again, on Mondays, I bring on guests who are professionals in the mental health space or advocates for mental health. And I just thought this was a really unique way to have these conversations, because we don't first and foremost, talk about mental health enough. Again, it's our brain. Like, we all have mental health. We don't all experience a illness, a disorder, a challenge, but being able to have the conversation. How can we be non-judgmental? How can we talk to the students, the teachers, the world? Like, how do we start at that basic level and then grow it up to even the leaders of our nation? And again, my show is definitely not a political show, and but I think it's important to really understand, like, what is the goal as a whole? How do we bring community? How do we really start having these hard conversations that nobody wants to have? But the whole thing is that we don't have to just suck it up. We don't have to just get over it. We don't have to label people. And really, it is important to just have the conversation across the board. And I want to give you, as the audience, an opportunity to just share in this experience and see that there is a whole world full of people that are out there that really truly want to help. They want to share their story. And there's ways that we can do that. Even with the 5 minutes that we talked about, we can take 5 minutes each day to really step away and promote our self-care. Really, like, that's what it is, right? How do I take 5 minutes out of my day and promote self-care, or self-compassion, or whatever, self-love, what you want to call it. It's totally up to you, but it's important for us to take that 5 minutes. And if we can do that on a daily basis, how many 5 minutes lead to how many more minutes, right? And I think that's really, really cool way to look at it too. As you know, BCC Evolution is, or maybe you don't know, because maybe you're watching this the first time, but I talked about my nonprofit, BCC Evolution. We are a mental health and suicide awareness nonprofit. This month, September, is National Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. So we are with, well, there it is. There's my link. If you become a warrior for mental health this month, it's only $19 or more per month, and that supports all of our education for mental health. It actually supports all of our programs, which are awareness, conversation, and education. I wonder if you know which of those programs that this show goes into. I'll let you guess. But either way, you're supporting all of the programs that we do. We have three. So 3 programs that we do with $19 or more this month. And anybody that is a new warrior for mental health donor this month, they actually get a mental health first aid class for free. So you'll get a voucher to use within 6 months to be able to take that class and get trained about mental health, substance use, and suicidal ideation. So go sign up today, and whatever you do, have a wonderful day, and join me again this Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the theme of Warrior Wednesday. And I will see you then. Bye all.